Hi guys, Parry from Carly Seeker and Bath here, and for today's video we've got a little bit of a mashup of clips from different classes, but I'd like to illustrate something for stick training, and this is some possible methods of approximating reality, basically, where you may have seen a video I've done before about all training is an approximation, because if you do kind of real fighting all the time with all your training partners, you'll injure them or yourselves and burn through training partners pretty quick and end up with concussions and tweaked joints and bruises and cuts all over the place. So to have some longevity in our training and be able to keep training for a long time without injuring each other, we need to make some approximations somewhere, and that could be using safety gear, so like helmets or padded weapons, or 16-ounce boxing gloves and shin pads and groin guards and stuff like that, or by approximating the force of the strikes used or the force of the joint lock applied. So with joint locks and submissions, you can get in the position and then squeeze until the other person tells you, yep, that's enough. If you carried on, that would definitely work. That would break something, that would put me to sleep. Whatever it is, that's the same thing. That's also an approximation. Likewise with sparring. So you have gum shields, groin guards, boxing gloves and shin guards on, so that we can kind of kick and punch each other for medium levels of force and still be relatively uninjured. Relatively, of course. Putting mats on the floor is an approximation as well for doing throws, because the impact of the floor is a big element of throwing someone or doing a takedown, because you're making them fall over and sometimes adding extra momentum and dumping their head directly into the floor. And so the approximations are, you teach people how to fall, how to kind of roll rather than crumple on the ground, and you put padding on the floor. Anyway, approximations everywhere. So it's turned into a longer rant than I wanted to, not to worry. So anyway, for this video we are looking at stick training. So we're doing some single stick, so one impact weapon against another blunt object used for the defense. And in one version we're doing the drill with no gear, and so we're approximating by kind of pulling the power out of our strikes. In another version we're going to put helmets on, motorbike helmets, and so we can go on target and get used to the idea of hitting a person-shaped thing in the head, which is something that everyone might need to get over to begin with. Not get over like get over it, but it's a natural thing not to want to do or want to not do. In another version we're using regular sticks and helmets so that we can practice correct targeting, but we've got some protective gear and we're still pulling some of the power of the strikes. In the third little section we've got, which is from a different class, so the techniques are different, it's a slightly different disarm, we made up a three-person drill where there's one person attacking, there's one person defending and doing the disarm, and then the third person is holding a tire. So the person who defended and did the disarm can hit something with maximum power. Now it's the wrong target because the person holding the tires off to one side. We try and make it as close as we can, but as you can see, it's an approximation. So between those elements we have the visual blueprint of a person with no protective gear on, attacking with a stick, and we're doing our usual stuff and targeting, but then pulling the power of the strike almost completely, actually, so as not to injure our friend, not to injure our training partner. The next one, put some protective gear on our training partner, and so we can hit them with a little bit more force. but still it's not full on power. And then the third version we're going to do full on power, but the targeting is a little bit off, and the blueprint is weird because you're hitting a tire instead of hitting a person. It's the equivalent of punching a heavy bag rather than sparring. Anyway, let's get to the videos and enjoy. Hopefully this is something you can use in your training or when you're planning your lessons or trying to find a way of approximating real fighting in a way that's repeatable and has a lower injury risk, because we're looking for a good ratio, a good return on investment. So if the investment is my injury risk, I want to get a decent return for it. So say there's something with very high injury risk and very low training benefit, then I'm probably not going to do it, to be honest. Whereas if there's something with very high training benefit and very low injury risk, then I'm probably going to do most of those things. There comes a point where there's diminishing returns, and so you have to look at some of the more closely balanced injury risk to return stuff. So, you know, heavier sparring or lower armor stick sparring, because then, you know, consequences higher, so you're probably encouraged not to get hit quite so much. Anyway, there we go, guys. Okay. Enjoy the video. We'll check back in later.
So we've got our two games now. We've got our mid-range game. And we've got our close range game. And we're going to put those two together. So each time we're moving from mid-range to close range to kind of finishing, one person's taking the lead on what's happening. So we started mid-range, I'm going to decide when we move to close range. When we do that, drop trap, and then I hit punyo. So he has to use his left hand to defend. Because if we're in the middle of the game, he's got used to defending with his stick. So if I just go block and I punyo back, he's probably going to defend with his stick. It's not going to go quite so well for me. So I need to take this stick out of the picture just for a move. To make it a nice flowing game, I let go. Now we're in the close range game. I need to initiate my wing. I need to trap it, hold on to it. On at least one punyo hit. I don't want to stay here forever, because when we're in close range, he can reach me with his... Exactly. One to think about, and I'm going to move now to the place where I have the reach advantage and he doesn't right now. 1, 2, 3, reset. And it's Dan's turn to choose before we do it. Nice. That's it. So we've got a little bit of chaos at mid-range. Choose when to move to close range. A little bit of chaos at close range. Choose when you're going to trap hold of your enemy stick and win reset. Okay? Can we do it? Yeah. Nice. 3, 2, 1. Cool. So we need helmet on one side so we have something to target. Doesn't make them invincible. So it's not like full power hit the tires. It's just something so you can some target practice. It's not power practice, but target practice. You know, play the same game, but each time I'm kind of doing the entry, getting to the point where I can do my thing. Okay? Start mid-range. Get close. See, now I'm still trying to aim for reaching. So you're going to trap it and get one. dynamic. The knee close, tie up his weapon, however it is. Who knows what he's going to do? He's still got another weapon free, so I need to try and get out of there as quickly as possible. So if I go 1, 2, 3. So now I'm nice and far away. If he's putting his hand up to hit me or cover, that's another good target for me. It's going to be the tricky part for the person wearing the helmet.
Yeah, don't do that.
So I have to put your hand up. The person hitting, if you see that they put their hand up, you go, yes! Remember, that's it. So nice and easy, looking after each other here. Switch, the thigh holder needs to go right at the feet. Remember, you guys can do either angle 1 or angle 2. So we have to switch targets a little bit. With the person who's done the disarming is to swing full power at a tire. The person holding the tire is probably one of the trickier jobs because you can't snooze on the job. Always need to be to the right hand side of the person who's feeding. So if I was feeding, that's it. Because then it's like the most natural switch between muscle, hitting on Ollie's arm. Just do one demo without typing. Hitting on Ollie's arm, that's it. Pin straight on Ollie, that's it. So if I make my target just here, it's like the least difference between the two mechanics. Okay, good to go. Nice. We do it? Yep. Cool. Groups of 3.